Personal development, probably one of my most difficult assignments when I met Mr. Shoaff, age 25. In fact, I'm still working on this one. I guess it's a never-ending challenge to see what you can become, and the big challenge of life is what you can become. And I have a good phrase for you: don't settle for less than you can be. The dimensions of your life are just unending in possibility. Capacity is never the problem. Guess how many languages kids can learn? No telling. I mean, they can learn all you'll take the time to teach them. We found children's capacity is not the problem. The only problem is time and people willing to take the energy to teach. In Europe, right, the kids learn several languages. It's unbelievable what you can learn, the person you can become if you really try. My daughters grew up in the Beverly Hills school system. We lived in Beverly Hills several years. In the first grade, they offer 3 languages. Neat: Spanish, French, or German. So when your kids go to school, starting grade 1, they can take another language, take it all the way through school, high school. By the time they graduate from high school, they know 2 languages instead of 1. Incredible. But see, our capacity is not what's limited. What's limited really is our desire, or we don't think we can. But personal development is a unique challenge. Under personal development I have, new habits don't come easy. It is a disciplined effort. Personal development. Personal development is not an easy matter. But the new habits will come. They can be developed if you take up the challenge of becoming more than you are. For real success, we need to just keep up the growth curve. When we were children, we were on this growth curve. We learned to walk, learned to talk, learned the language. We learned, right, communication, how to get along. I mean, the information we digested and what we did about it, and trial and error and working on it was just, a strong curve. The problem is, along about college, right, this curve starts to take a dip. And guess when it almost levels off for a lot of people? When they get their first job. Now they've got a job. And they quit this incredible learning curve of challenging themselves to grow and to change. And sure enough, some people in 20, 30 years are not much further advanced than they were when they got their first job. They're just out there making money and spending it. They finally learned how to do that, but that was about the end of the growth curve. But if you work on it, personal development can be a unique challenge, as well as all the dimensions of your life that can be explored in their possibilities and the results. And once you get hooked on results, you don't mind the discipline. You just need a little taste of results. And then the discipline now seems much more desirable. Kids often ask me, is it worth the work? Is it worth the discipline? And the answer is always yes, and here's why. For every disciplined effort, you get a multiple return. For every disciplined effort, you get a multiple return. So it's well worth the discipline, because you get so much back from the slightest discipline. And also, just the process of discipline makes you feel better about yourself. And the greatest step toward accomplishment is self-confidence. And self-confidence comes not just from accomplishment. Self-confidence comes from attempt as much as accomplishment. If you start doing something that you've let slide for 3 or 4 years, guess how quick you feel better? Right away. Right. You should have been writing 5 letters a day, and you've never done it. But the first day you write your 5 letters, guess how you feel? Incredible, strong. It all starts to change. Okay. So, discipline has its unique reward right away in that you feel better about yourself. See, the greatest cause of failure is lack of self-confidence, guilt. And remember, failing is not a cataclysmic event. Failing is just a long list of small failures. They just keep stacking up. You should have written 5 letters today and you write 1. Now you got 4 strikes against you, and the day isn't even over. You should have made 10 calls, make 2. That's 8 more. That's 8 plus 4. That's 12, and the day isn't over yet. 12 in one day, little failings. Should have put it together and you didn't. That's another one. And sure enough, some people by the end of the day have got this whole stack of failings. And it wasn't something that they couldn't have done. It was something that they could have done and didn't do. And see, that always brings guilt. Guilt erodes self-confidence. And lack of self-confidence is the greatest deterrent for success. Now, here's what success is. Just reversing the process. See, if you should write 5 letters today and you write 8, so you're up 3. That's what you do. Guess how that makes you feel at the end of the day? Terrific. I should make at least 4 calls, and you just make 10. Now you're up 6. 6 plus 3 is 9, and the day isn't even over yet. And now you've got failure on the run. 1 is the change in how you feel. The accomplishments from it are going to come later, but see, the greatest accomplishment is the feeling of getting a handle on it, making the changes, making the attempt, starting the discipline is just about as exciting as the accomplishment that comes from the discipline. We all need 2 things to do well. One is inspiration, but inspiration must soon lead to discipline. We all proceed primarily based on how we feel. That's why your philosophical refinement is so important, because it adjusts how you feel so you can proceed better. We will only do what our current philosophical position asks us to do or drives us to do. That's all we will do. We proceed based on attitude, and attitude comes from our current philosophical position. And all of us need our philosophical position refined. That's the reason for attending a couple of days like this. That's the reason for listening to the sermons, going to the classes, attending the training, sitting in conferences, having a discussion with people. All of that refinement of our philosophical position so that we feel now better and we proceed better. A successful man I knew once said, success is 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration. You've actually got to now get busy on what you've been inspired to do. That's why I always love to give a tangible effort activity based on a new conclusion. Right? If you want to be better educated, you got to go get that first book. You just got to go get the book. Because otherwise, you just walk out of some classes or some speeches and you just feel good. And sure enough, if you don't get busy on some tangible something to go to work on, now the good feeling soon passes and you're right back where you started. That's why positive thinking speeches must always include action things to go to work on, so that you don't lose the momentum. Otherwise, you skip out of the room with a mental lollipop. And when the lollipop is gone, now you're right back where you started, right? You got to have something to go to work on. But sure enough, some people will just feel good about a better idea, but they won't do much about it. Guess what percentage of people after the seminar is over go get the book and Think and Grow Rich? Very few. It's unbelievable. I talk about setting goals and writing them down. Guess how many start that process after the seminar is over? Very few. In fact, it'll put you in the top 5%.